What's going on, everybody? Happy What's Current Wednesday, July 22nd, 2020. Hope everyone's in a good groove in their midweek. Also, a special birthday shout out to my guy, Wiley, a real one throughout the years. Carl, you know how to keep our friendship electric, like your new Tesla. Thank you very much. Also, congratulations to our friends Becca and Josh, who got married this past weekend. My fiance Amanda and I were of the fortunate few in attendance. It was at the Rock Mill Brewery in Lancaster, a beautiful ceremony at an amazing venue. That was my first time out there. I had heard great things about the brewery, and it definitely lived up to the hype. And I've basically just now recovered from the weekend. 30 years old does not recover from a night of celebrations like, say, 23 does. But anyways, on that note, here's a throwback clip to 23-year-old me.
And I ride so young and reckless. Start my day just like a champ with Wheaties from my breakfast. Lot of things on my checklist, like saving up for that Lexus. Till then I'm whipping that Chrysler, same color my necklace. Outstanding, I'm standing out, and you fitting in like it's Tetris.
The song you just heard is called Chrysler Music from my very first mixtape from 2013 called Lucid Bars that just turned 7 years old on Monday. This project was and still is only available on DatPiff and Bandcamp, which alone speaks to its age. Only the real ones know about that one. But the reason I chose that clip was because I ended last episode by telling you all I sold my car, my Chrysler 300, or as some of you may know by my later mixtape title, Lunzo 3 Hundo. But that song clip you just heard was from 2 Chryslers ago, back when I had a gold Chrysler 300M. In the song clip, you heard me say I was, quote, saving up for that Lexus, end quote, which I don't think was true at all. It was just a rap lyric. But yeah, pretty neat time capsule moment there. I guess I manifested it because I got me that Lexus. My dad got a new car, so I sold mine and bought what was his car, a Lexus RX 350. It's my first SUV, and I must say I'm getting nicely acquainted with it. It is a 2007 and is held up quite well. Lunzo was just a 2005, so from that perspective, really I've only upgraded by 2 years. It's pretty amazing that in the year 2020, I still have not owned a car newer than 2007. But hey, that's kind of cool. I'm proud of that. Whatever. I drive 5,000 miles a year anyway, so what does it really matter how new my car is? And a lot of seemingly useless information there, but this is my show, not yours. So, in other news, also on Monday, Cal Scrooby dropped his album While You Were Sleeping. I don't actually know what your sleep schedule is. What I was saying is it's called While You Were Sleeping. I've listened to most of it already. It's dope. That guy just keeps on getting better. If you're a hip hop fan and not familiar with Cal, check him out. He's from Ohio. And I would say Cal is one of my earliest musical inspirations. I've met and spoken with him a few times and been to a few of his shows. And Sean is also a fan. He and I were supposed to see Cal perform several months ago. And then the show was rescheduled for July. And then it got postponed again. But fortunately, our tickets will still be honored whenever that Columbus show ends up being. So looking forward to that. Me personally, I've been a bit off my music game lately as my life has become a little busier with a breadth of things, good things. But it's artists like Cal that I can relate to and that always get me motivated to tap back into my craft. So that is something I've been working on prioritizing a bit more, and hopefully you'll get back into a groove with sooner than later. There's a book I recently read called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, which some of you may know. And for me, it really hit home. It's just what the doctor ordered. If you're a creative person and find yourself blocked or struggling to create the time and space to build on your crafts, read this book if you haven't. It's almost like a Bible for creators and something I'm definitely going to read again and refer to often on my journey back to the musical self that some of you out there have perhaps been wondering about, or even miss. I know that I've made a difference with my music for folks in the past, and that is what I want to get back to doing. Ultimately, whatever calling you feel like you might have, you really got to fight to do what you can to make the time and to prioritize working on that. It can be so hard to kind of tune out the rest of the busy world in times where, at any moment there's something that can take your attention away and seem more urgent than something like, a creative endeavor or a hobby. But that's absolutely not the case. There, I think, are multiple books now that speak to that I've read that speak to the difference of separating the urgent from the important, and how the important is more important than the urgent oftentimes. So, probably more on that and future episodes, some book review topics that I feel like are helping me with my creativity and that I will bring to light in future shows. And that was a long-winded intro, a lot of which was somewhat of a freestyle there towards the end. But today's episode continues with more content from Sean and I. So without further ado, hop on the current. Yeah, northwest, I would say. More north than west, but
yes.
North. I think that's a real thing, like the subdirections, northwest.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's what PAL is for sure.
I got you.
But then I think Top Golf is like northeast, so it's just like shooting east to by I think it took maybe like 20 minutes or so. But anyway,
I got you. Cool.
That's me nerding out on the unimportant. The main thing.
We're details,
Pops had
guys.
a good, yeah, man. I'm an analytical dude.
Mm-hmm.
I like breaking things down.
Dude, I'm down with that. That sounds cool, man.
Yeah, but man, I felt rusty on the swings today. Pops made a good point. The fact that he's been golfing for a long time, and he's good. He can play top golf and he can aim for the holes and stuff. And for me, that's not as easy, But he said he's like, when he's like, whenever there's like periods of time where I don't play as much, and I guess coronavirus kind of threw some things off with getting in normal swings at the times and places he would have otherwise, he's like, whenever I haven't played as much, he's like, even if I play a little bad, I'm okay with that because I understand that I should be rusty because I haven't played in a while. He's like, I'm not beating myself up because I'm not playing as good as I felt like I could be or something. It's just as long as you're playing how circumstances would allow you to play, then that's when it should be fine. You gotta so it's like, I guess your standards. This is me kind of just freestyling right now. Standards, I guess, can be a little bit malleable or a little bit shifty or a little bit. The word I'm looking for is movable, but what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So you can always adjust your standards based on your circumstances, and I think maybe that actually will determine your level of happiness, because say circumstances aren't right for you to have a peak performance or just day or situation. Well, all of these different variables, it wasn't cut out to be the best ever. But if things end up to as good of a level really as they could have, then that's when you can be happy, even if that's not your high score or the best day you've ever had.
Yeah.
You can't have your best day or your best game, whatever, all the time.
Exactly. Then it wouldn't be called a best day anymore. It would just be everything. There would be no highs and lows. Yeah,
dude,
that's so important to realize, because I think people we always want to feel the best, right? We always want to have the best day, but it's just not realistic. Sometimes you're gonna have bad days. There are gonna be days where it's one of those days, and that's okay. It's like, you know what, there's a good day right around the corner, but you know, it can be tough to realize that. But I think what you're saying there about your standards being adjustable kind of relates back to another thing that we were talking about, which is like even your identity as a person. We'll take it one level deeper.
Oh.
We were saying you don't really want to confine yourself to a financial customer service rep and a musician and a fiance. You don't want to just say those are what you are, because if something else happens or another opportunity comes along and it's like, wow, like I'm really good at this, and or this is interesting, like I found myself excelling at this, but it's not in line with your identity, that can cause like anxiety, it can cause stress, or just like if you're not accepting things outside of your lane. Sometimes I know people always say stay in your lane, which is very applicable on different levels.
Yeah.
But like, you know, if you think you're like a certain person and you have certain values, I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but like
I'm following.
You gotta be. I think it's important to be able to change. You know what I mean? And we don't have to pigeonhole ourselves as like I'm just an engineer. Why can't I have a podcast as well?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it seems scary though. Like I'm an engineer. I have this career. Why are you podcasting? You know that doesn't fit my identity as an engineer. But if I don't accept it, and if I do just accept that, then I could be missing out on something that makes me really happy. So I think it's important to be adjustable. Be open. Yeah.
Just be adjustable.
Open. Yeah.
And yeah, like being available for those surprise encounters or realizations, type of things that can, you know, come to you. At one point, podcasting came to us too. You know what I mean? Like at first, there was a point where on paper, just whatever my job was when I started music and a musician. I wasn't like a podcaster yet. But like, you know what? I don't care whether or not our first episode's out right now. I'm a podcaster.
Yeah, that's what we do.
I'm identifying with that. Like we do that. We're good at that. We're a fit for this. We like doing it. We like doing it. And we're a good fit for it. That's where I know we're onto some good shit.
For sure. Like, if you would have asked me 2 years ago if I was going to have a podcast, I probably would have laughed in your face. I'd have been like, you're crazy. Like, there's no way I would do that. But that just goes to show you that you got to be open. You got to be able to accept new things. You got to be open to new ideas, right? I mean, there's a lot of that stuff going on in the world, and we've touched on that on a previous episode, but it's okay to think one thing, maybe even your whole life, and then realize that was wrong. That thought was wrong. Like that's hard. Let's talk about that, man.
That's tough.
Coming off, having an opinion about something and identifying yourself with that, and then suddenly realizing that you see another side now and you don't agree with that. That can be hard. Because your ego comes into play, like on a very
you're forced to check yourself. At that point.
Yeah.
What was like where was the, why didn't why is there that conflict? You at first you're like, why? You're kind of like, why is there a conflict? Like I thought things should be a certain way, or I thought I knew this, thought I knew that, but you're right. I guess you're right. It ties into ego.
Yeah, it's your ego coming in. You don't want to admit you were wrong, and you don't want to look like a hypocrite. It's okay to change. It's hard to change. I mean, this is a very small scale example, but in my life, like I played baseball growing up. I played basketball and baseball were my two sports. Once I got to high school, I mainly focused on baseball. I was okay. I was good enough to make varsity my junior and senior year, but I didn't play a ton. I was on the team.
Yeah.
But my senior year, and the summer before that, I really started getting into tennis. I liked tennis. Both of my parents played tennis, and me and my dad started hitting, and I was getting better.
Tennis is fire.
Yeah, tennis is fire. Shout out Roger Federer.
Yeah.
And
he's got a good life.
Yeah, and Maria Sharapova. We would love to have you both on
the
show.
Yeah. Pretty good podcast with her. We'll get into that.
Yeah, we can promote your Sharapova, whatever you want. All right. So, anyways, quick plug section there. But my senior year, I had, as I was saying, I was getting into tennis. I had just met one of my best friends, Wyatt Lippert. Shout out Wyatt Lunds. You know Wyatt.
Gang.
I met Wyatt my senior year. We were chilling in the study hall.
Bars.
And bars. Yeah, let's spit some bars soon, man. But we were hitting a little bit, and that was kind of a big year for me. My senior year, that was kind of like when I kind of stepped outside of my little bubble. I was kind of a straight edge nerd, all about GPA and getting into college. But senior year, I kind of expanded. Yeah, it was in the long run, it was the right thing. But senior year became fun. I was becoming more social. I let loose. I had my moments. Yeah, you need both. Anyways, the story's getting a little out of hand, but by the time it came down to like baseball season coming around, tennis season was also with baseball season. So in my heart, I was like, dude, I kind of want to try out for the tennis team. My senior year, I've never played on the tennis team before. Again, they're the same spring season, but I didn't do it because I was like, I'm a baseball player, and that's how I identify myself. That's how people associate me. Not that even matters, but really what it was just me being afraid to kind of like take that jump, make that change my identity. This wasn't as much ego as it was just fear. Like maybe I wouldn't have made the team. I don't know, but I probably would have. But it just would have been, it wouldn't have gone with the current. You know what I mean?
I like that.
I would have had to like face some obstacles. Like, why you're not playing baseball this year? Like I would have had to receive a lot of those questions.
I feel that
it would have made a difference. I mean, I played in a few games and had, I wasn't like a star on the team. It wouldn't have affected the team that much, but it would have.
But you had carved out your lane.
Yes.
Your lane had been carved out,
yes.
And it was much easier to roll with that than go against the grain.
100%.
Yeah, man.
So that's just my little example of looking back on it now. It was a good, it was a fun season, whatnot, but I wish I would have tried out for that tennis team. I wish I wouldn't have left that opportunity on the table. It's not a big regret, but it's just one of those examples. Like I'm sure many people can come up with something where it was like you didn't go for it because it was like outside of your comfort zone a little bit, and
it wasn't with the current.
It wasn't with the current. Man.
That was a great like kind of tie into the show. Like that's a great point, dude. I actually have these thoughts sometimes where like, I think actually in one of our recent like episodes, we were talking about kind of like going with the flow and things like that, and like flexible routines and like being able to like kind of adjust, adapt, and kind of like go with the flow and stuff. And there's times where like, I'll know, I'll have a person like an internal indicator of when I'm doing something that's against the grain, whatever it is, miscellaneous, like anything, you know what I mean? And then like, that's kind of a difficult concept to kind of like wrap yourself, or like to kind of to dissect, because going with the current, I feel like that's ultimately in general good. Like as far as like we're doing that very much with podcasting. We talk, we love talking. We flow. This is easy for us. It's fun for us. We're going with the current. All this stuff. But also there's times where you have to go against the current and against the grain and do these different things to like break out of the shell and grow. That's what's so hard to be able to try to like think of in that way of like, to think about when and what to do that with. Like there's things in life that you should if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Do the things that are working.
Yeah.
And as you kind of grow and you get a little wiser, it's easier to I guess spot the opportunities of the things that, oh yeah, there's, I guess you cap your downside. Yeah. This might be a risk, but what's the worst that could happen when you realize these little opportunities to try something new and go against the grain and try it, and you can jump into those. Those are kind of the little excitement windows of life, because 100%. You've got your stuff going, but then you see this little opportunity to jump and try something new, and that's kind of I don't know, man. There's layers.
There's layers to that. It made me think of another layer.
Yeah.
There are so many people in life, and I've done it, where you might be unhappy with a situation and you don't change it because it goes against the current. And, definitely if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think that is a good, it's a good general rule. Yep. But I think it's also important to analyze, is it broke? Is it working? Just because the current's flowing and you're going along doesn't mean something isn't broke. And I would say that could be
it's an insight.
That's something I've learned. Yeah. Is that you can be going down a road and you, in your mind, you're saying if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But are you really assessing if things are working? And I'm speaking more relationship wise. I think that can go with people. You see, I was talking to someone recently, and they're like, yeah, that person, they hate their lives. They got this and that, and they're really unhappy. And it's in my mind, I'm wondering why don't they change that? But I also understand when you're walking a certain path in life and you've made all these decisions and you have this lifestyle and you're known as this type of person, it's not easy to change that. It's scary. But what made me think of this was when you said there's these little moments that make you realize when you do make those changes, or when things do change and you're kind of worried about it, you have these moments of you see little sparkles, little gold in the river, you know what I mean? And it's
yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
I think we're on the same page there, that change is hard, but if it's really necessary, it might not become apparent that it's the right change at the right time, but over time you'll get these little indicators that it's going to be okay. This was the right decision. Yes. And you just gotta trust whatever you believe in. I don't know. Yeah, you just gotta trust that, and
trust your intuition.
Trust your internal compass. Yeah. I think that kind of, just this whole episode or whole recording session we've kind of talked. It's a similar vibe. I think it might be patience. There's a patience factor.
100%.
In regards to seeking the truth, or finding clarity, or whether it be in your job or in your identity or a relationship or something. I think that's kind of what we're getting at.
That's a few very relevant main themes. Patience. That's a good call out. A good way to tie that together. Patience is one thing that I think that I think I don't know, I can be guilty of getting lost in the day-to-day, and working on trying to scale back sometimes to be able to see that in most ways, for me, I've been adjusting my current in the right way. I've been really working on myself, and there's a lot that I can pat myself on the back for just things that I've changed. But I sometimes will magnify, just by habit or whatever, I'll magnify these small things that really they don't deserve that much attention. They're not that big a deal, but I'll magnify some of the negative things that either I'm doing or that I find with my life and whatnot. And it's just sometimes you gotta you gotta step back and appreciate the good of the current, that you've got going and everything like that, because like that thing that you're investing like this amount of upsetness or frustration or anxiety about, like in terms of the whole current, it's such a small micro.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, also what was interesting about what we all also were just saying is not every current is a good current.
Mm-hmm.
Current is a current, but not every current is a good current.
Right.
If over time there's a current that ends up being, yes, it's easier to go with the current.
Yeah.
But it could be a bad current.
Yeah.
And it could be just like a negative current. So it's just like, shifting one thing at a time, whatever you can to re-steer the course of that current into better flow.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always easier to go with the current, but the current's not always good.
Think about it, man. You need a current, and you want to go with the current if you're going cabrewing, right? You need a little current. That's a good current. You're chilling with your friends, drinking beers, cabrewing or whatever.
You need a cruise.
You need the current. You want to go with that current. But, dude, think about if you're like, if the current gets too fast and you're about to go off a cliff, that's when you need to go against the current. The current.
Yes.
It's just like that's just like a high level analogy. But like, I think that I like that idea too. That it's good a lot of times to go with the current. You don't want to ruffle. You don't want to burn bridges and like be like the. You don't want to be someone who just goes against the current
just
to go against the current.
There are those people.
Yeah, and I can feel when I'm doing that. And if I'm doing that, I've done that at times where it's like, why am I causing resistance to something? Is it really because I'm resisting this situation and I'm really really that passionate about whatever it is that I want to resist, or is there something else that is more underlying that is causing this resistance? I think that's an interesting thing to look at too, that because there are for sure it's way easier to just go with the current, especially with certain situations and like relationships. But the current, man, maybe this is the current episode.
It'll be the current.
That is going to do it for this one. And another exciting side note, we just hit 150 podcast downloads, which means we're getting downloaded more or less 50 times a week, which is pretty cool for having just started. Sean and I really appreciate those of you who have streamed, shared, subscribed, downloaded the podcast. It really means a lot. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback already, and that is the fuel that keeps the fire going. So as always, we want to hear what you think about our shows thus far and what you might have to suggest for us moving forward. Again, email us, DM us, text us, voice message us. Thank you for all your support. Appreciate the past, but more so, embrace the current. Let off with some 2013 Young Luns today. Why not cap it off with some current day 2020 Luns? Coca-Cola, I've been popping.
Popping on the wave with the sound. Ayy, about my cheese, yeah. Show me where the cash at. I'm so free, yeah. Making things abstract. I'm making them think different. I'm making them think big. I've been lifting my frame thicker. It's wet, my game slicker, yeah. I've been getting quicker to the punchlines. I've been going harder, boy, it's crunch time. I know it's hitting different, I know. Tapping into my soul and shit. My soul all the way to my bones. A lot of different layers to the man that I become. A lot of things change in this life when you love what you're doing every day. You forget the little things. It's alright, it's okay. You can't stop, it's no way. It's alright, it's all good, yeah. It's all good, everything good.